This is an audience participation event. We will be taking questions from the audience. I will be back and forth up here as long as my fork. There we go, which is not easy. So you are screwed. All right. Nice seats. Everybody look at the people in the nice seats. That's the strangest costume you'll see here. They look respectable. We're from the government. We're here to help. All right. We have split the table. We were thinking about splitting the room, but that's not going to happen. On one side of me are believers, on the other side of me are skeptics. We're going to introduce them. On the believers' side, starting to my right, your left, is from Court TV, Mr. Patrick Burns.
Thanks, everyone. It's great to be here. This is, I believe, my 7th or 8th year speaking on the extract here at DragonCon. I'm a paranormal investigator. As one of our skeptics on the panel has written about me, I am a bit of an outcast in my field because, get ready for this, I'm going to throw you a curveball here. I am a skeptic myself. But I'm a skeptic in the true sense of the word, in that I question everything. I don't blindly dismiss stuff, okay? Thank you. We'll get more into that a little bit later on.
All right. And to Patrick's left is Mr. Graham Watkins from the Ryan Center.
I've been working with this extract for many years, probably as many years as I've had it, doing various things here. I'm probably better known than many of you as a writer. But I also
turn up the volume. We can't hear.
All right, I'll do this. I'll turn the volume.
I've also done research at the Ryan Institute since the 1970s, and I have a number of publications in parapsychology. To an extent, that's where I started writing fiction from. I have numerous non-fiction publications in that field, and I'm currently the webmaster for the Ryan Center. This is the direct linear descendant of the parapsychology lab.
All right. And now moving down the table to the skeptics portion of the table. Patrick and Graham, I think the audience may be a little bit against you. Just to point that out. All right, from Skeptic Magazine, Michael Shermer.
So we are the Skeptic Magazine, the quarterly publication, Skeptic Society, investigate claims of paranormal, pseudoscience, strange roots, occultic claims of all kinds between science, pseudoscience, junk science, pseudoscience, bad science, pathological science, non-science, and plain old nonsense.
At which point you go, take a breath there. And last but not least, that did not be attacking this stuff. From the Skeptical Analysis of the Paranormal Society, otherwise known as the Society, is Ms. Alison Smith.
I'm Alison. I'm the founder of SAPS. I'm also an intern at the James Randi Educational Foundation and a private investigator. And a lot of what we do is examine evidence of the paranormal, mostly ghost footage, and try and find a logical explanation for it.
So there's your panel. I'm going to start this off with the first question. All right, and then we're just going to see what happens. The question I have to ask you, my panelists, is basically the biggest question that seems to be hitting the mainstream these days. What's getting most attention is the existence of spirits. Ghosts in the machine, ghosts, whatever. That seems to be one of the biggest fascination that people have. Do ghosts exist? Or do they not? I'll look that one first. All right, so what we'd like to ask you here is, what makes ghosts so intriguing to the public?
Well, I think every one of us wants to believe that something survives physical death when we pass, that that isn't it. We don't simply go out like a candle. And we want to believe beyond what mainstream religion tells me I'm supposed to believe. Okay? Seeing is believing. I want to experience this stuff myself, and that's really what sort of led me into paranormal research from a perspective of investigating alleged hauntings.
Graham, why are those so just popular, true, interesting?
Well, I think there's an enormous amount of anecdotal evidence that there's something. Now, let me define things a little bit here. You spoke of spirits, and it gets to be accepted without note that a ghost, quote unquote, is the spirit of someone who has been living. That's not something we know. As I said, I was a researcher and still do research at the Ryan Center. We are interested in hard science. We need definitions on these things. We know that there are phenomena. We don't know that there are spirits. We can't define them as spirits, as dead, or as anything else, because we don't know what they are yet. And we cannot know what they are until we investigate them further, have some further hard data on them, and can draw some conclusions from that, especially when we can bring them into the laboratory, which is not something that's been done in a real sense yet, although a little later on I'll address some remarks to that particular thing.
All right, Michael?
Well, I guess by way of just one example, in the mid-17th century in England, during the rise of the scientific revolution, sort of at its peak, an Anglican deacon got very interested in investigating haunted houses and ghosts in England. And when pressed during a trial of a witch that they had found had haunted his house and they were convicting her, was pressed for why religion was getting involved in ghost hunting. And his answer was essentially, because if there's no ghosts, then there's no demons. If there's no demons, then there's no God. And in essence, then ghosts represent something of empirical data, evidence for an afterlife, a spirit world, something that transcends the physical world. And so if your deepest beliefs are about God, then trickling down the hierarchy, ghosts at least represent something that would support that, other than just think.
It would almost be a comfort.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a culture in which you're not supposed to just believe things because it feels good. You're supposed to have evidence. I mean, no one ever says, I'm a Democrat because my dad was. I mean, people give reasons for their beliefs, or I'm a Catholic because I was raised Catholic, otherwise I wouldn't be a Catholic. No one ever says, almost no one ever says that, unless they go to the Catholic Church. I mean, you say that. But, in our culture, people give reasons for belief. So the afterlife is included.
Alison, why do you think ghosts are so fascinating to people?
I do agree with Patrick. I think it's because we're interested in discovering whether or not our life is extended beyond our death, whether or not there is anything more out there. However, I do disagree that ghost hunting is the way to prove that something exists. Because no matter what evidence you collect out there in the field, it's never going to be proof that ghosts exist. It's going to be proof that something weird happened, there was a weird temperature, I caught this on film, but it doesn't mean that it's ghosts. And Graham, I heard you say that we can prove that there is phenomenon out there. I was wondering if you meant paranormal phenomenon or not.